friend. Welcome. The coaches here at Results Driven are committed to helping our members look, move, and feel better. We've all experienced the difference that exercising on a consistent basis can make in our lives. Adding to that, nutrition and a supportive community helps our members reach their goals and makes them healthier.
When you start focusing on trying to improve your health, you have to be real about what your actual starting point is. There's a big issue in this country with overweight and obesity as well as orthopedic issues. Over 2/3 of the country is overweight or obese, and orthopedic issues are at an all-time high. So we just have to be real about the fact that we have some things that need to be checked off, and that path to healthy is going to have to be a systematic, step-by-step process.
One of the biggest issues that a lot of our members face and a lot of our community faces is just the time constraint. A lot of our members are parents, they're commuters. They have long days at work and then they feel like they don't have the right tools to help them reach their goals. When time is of the essence, the thing that you really need to focus on is efficiency. And that's one of the things that we really pride ourselves here at Results Driven on, creating an efficient exercise program.
One of the main things our members want to focus on is dropping fat. Now, if you want to drop fat, logic would say that you should just go harder, run more miles, lift more weight, but unfortunately that's not sustainable over time, especially when people have significant issues with movement and maybe a little more of an extensive injury history. Dr. Mark Cheng, one of the leaders in our field, provided this amazing gem for us that helped become one of the foundations of our business. Dr. Cheng said training fundamental movement patterns that are foreign to your nervous system can help safely kickstart your metabolism.
Think about what most people's typical gym experience is. They think about running, they think about group exercise classes like Zumba or Pilates. Maybe they're thinking about bodybuilding or high intensity strength training like CrossFit. Now, we're not here to debate whether one style of training is better than another, but we do think that our style of training is optimized to help people match their goals, whether those goals are to move better, to drop fat, or to build a baseline of strength.
So let's take a step back and break down Dr. Mark Cheng's quote so you can understand what it means and why it's important to you. When we say fundamental movement patterns, it really just means moving the way we're meant to move. So we should be able to hinge, squat, push, pull, throw, and carry things, and eventually work towards things like jumping. Even though these movement patterns are things that human beings are meant to be able to do, modern society has really taken away our ability to do them. So if we currently don't have the ability to do one of these fundamental patterns, we can make the connection that those things are actually currently foreign to our nervous system. What that means is our system currently just doesn't actually know how to perform the movements safe and effectively. When we start to retrain your body to be able to perform these movement patterns, you can actually get a really nice boost to your metabolism. So for example, if we're teaching your body how to hinge again, even though the movements that you're performing might actually seem on the easier end, you're going to get a very nice benefit if your goal is fat loss. Now that you understand what each part of this quote means, we want to make sure that you really understand why this is important for you. So yeah, there are certain things that you're supposed to be able to do as a human, and even though you can't currently do them, we don't have to jump straight into intense exercise. There are certain steps we want to take to not only make sure that your exercise routine is safe and effective, but if we follow this progression properly, you're going to get a huge benefit in terms of reaching your final goal, whether that be dropping fat, improving strength, or just living a better life.
So the first thing that we want to do here at RD is clear pain. That's the biggest rule that we tell people when they first walk through the doors, and it's pretty much the first thing that people ignore outside of this gym. We don't want you to move through pain. So even if it seems something simple like putting your arm overhead, don't do it if it hurts.
So if you're dealing with pain on a day-to-day basis, or you find during your movement screen that there's certain movement patterns that are uncomfortable or painful for you, it doesn't mean you can't exercise. All it means is that we need to find out what's causing the pain. We want to make sure there's nothing else medical you are unaware of. We also want to make sure that we don't aggravate any existing orthopedic issues. So if we communicate closely with the medical professionals that we work with, we can just make a more effective program for you, find out what to avoid, and find out what other things you need to work on to get yourself out of pain.
So now that we've either determined that you have pain on board and how to address it, or we've determined that you don't have any pain on board, the first thing we want to look at is mobility. We don't need you to be like a ballet dancer that can put your foot over your head. We just need you to have the appropriate amount of mobility for the exercises that we're performing. So here at Results Driven, we create mobility through using foam rolls, lacrosse balls, different like mobility sticks, and all kinds of silly stuff that kind of feels icky. But after you do it, we create some mobility, and then we add other exercises on top of it to help you lock down that mobility for outside of the gym.
Once we've worked on mobility, we want to teach your body how to control the newfound range of motion. The first step is static stability. Static stability is simply just teaching your body to control a joint system when it's not in motion. So if we've been working on hip mobility and we want to teach your body how to control the hips when they're not in motion, a perfect example of a position we use is half kneeling. With one knee up and one knee down, we can use different drills to help teach your nervous system how to control that position. Some examples are just using a resistance band, a kettlebell, or even just positional breathing and reaching drills.
After static stability comes dynamic stability. Playing off of Ed's example, now we're going to move the hips as opposed to his examples where the hips stayed still. Some of the examples for that at Results Driven would be your quadruped diagonal, a bridge, or leg lowering. All of these examples are exercises where the legs are actually moving as opposed to being still, and it teaches the body to now control that range of motion in a dynamic fashion.
Once you've learned to control a joint system while it's in motion, the next step is to add strength into that pattern. So if we're working on hip mobility, a couple of classic examples are the split squat, lunging, or even starting a deadlift with a kettlebell or a sandbag.
Following this progression is the way that we make sure that our clients exercise safely. No matter what level of exercise people come into Results Driven with, by following this pattern, we're able to systematically break down what they need to work on and give them exercises that are appropriate for their body.
Even though we follow a set progression to improve movement, it doesn't mean you come in and you have to check off a bunch of boxes before you're able to train. All we're trying to do is plot you off in the right point of the progression for your movement profile so you can go hard in the appropriate places and pump the brakes where necessary. No matter what, as long as you respect your movement profile, you're going to start to get the training effect you're looking for, and that's the first step towards you reaching your end goal.
Welcome to Results Driven, and our people look, move, and feel better because we knew that it's already a great start.
Just shake it off.
We got an hour to get a little bit of shit done.
More like 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
Welcome to Results Driven. This is our tapes.
I pull out a cassette tape.
Yeah, that'd be great.
A VHS.
You know, when people are starting, a lot of times they'll have trying to focus on improving your health. When you're trying to focus on improving your health, you have to take into account what your actual starting point is. And one thing that's, I got it though. When you're trying to improve your health, I'm so healthy. If we're trying to make the most training fundamental, since people don't have that much time available with their busy lives, since people are being stretched, Dr. Mark Cheng, one of the leaders in our field, provided a very useful gem. It's a ruby.
So going off of Ed's example, after static stability comes dynamic stability. So this would be where instead of the hips being still, the hips are moving. Classic examples of that at Results Driven would be your bridge, doing a quadruped diagonal, or something else. These are examples of the hips moving. These are all examples of one hip being still.
Once your body's able to control a joint system when it's in motion, then we want to start to add. Once you've locked down hip mobility, static stability, nope, I'm just adding shit.